Across the entire galaxy, no one could quite figure out the humans. They were, without contest, the strangest, most illogical, and most baffling creatures ever to arise from the stars. Nothing they said or did ever made sense. Not to us, not to anyone. I've seen plenty of species in my time, but none as delightfully chaotic as those wild primates. I still remember the stories, the sheer madness of it all. Take, for example, one of their countless wars. Humans, it seems, have an endless appetite for fighting each other. They warned the entire galaxy to stay out of what they called a small skirmish. They made it clear that anyone who interfered would face retaliation. So, there they were, two massive human fleets slugging it out in some forgotten backwater system. Suddenly, in the middle of this ferocious battle, a small civilian cargo ship burst out of hyperspace, damaged, helpless, and calling for emergency assistance. What happened next baffled the rest of the galaxy for months. Both fleets, sworn enemies, locked in a death struggle, immediately ceased fire. They flew side by side to rescue the crippled freighter, after ensuring its crew's safety, arranging repairs, and even paying for the ship to be towed to dry dock. The two fleets calmly returned to their original positions, restarted their war music, and resumed blasting each other to pieces. Humans outside the conflict laughed about it for weeks. The rest of us? We spent months trying to understand what the word DAC, their slang for the incident, even meant. Then there was the time a single human marine, one of their elite warriors, charged an entire Serantis infantry division by himself, and somehow won, apparently. Apparently, he'd grown tired of being yelled at by his sergeant and decided to make things interesting. For context, the Serantis and Marantis were two branches of the same species, highly traditional, honor-bound people who prided themselves on discipline and ceremony. Their endless feud over mining rights had dragged on for centuries, fought with old-fashioned weapons and absurdly ritualized combat. Each side would line up, fire a single shot, and then engage in duels until one side yielded. Humans, of course, found this hilarious. In one such battle, a human star pilot crash-landed on the planet. In exchange for repairs to his ship, he was drafted to serve alongside a Marine unit. But our human friend quickly grew bored of standing in formation, listening to long speeches, and waiting for someone to shout charge. So he simply broke ranks and did it himself. He sprinted across the battlefield, dodging archaic laser musket fire, leapt into the enemy trenches, and tackled the opposing commander. Then this spot is absolutely true. He flipped open his helmet and screamed directly into the commander's face, "Get me out of here!" Then he turned around and sprinted back to his own lines. The Marantis commander was so shocked by the absurdity of it that he later suffered a nervous breakdown. He was reportedly found days later wearing a bedsheet as a ceremonial robe, attempting to court-martial a snack cake for insubordination. Eventually, both sides called off the battle, repaired the human ship, and sent him home. The commander did recover, though he was never again able to look at that brand of snack cake without trembling with rage. And that's just one of many examples. Humans drink substances toxic to most known life: alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, purely for enjoyment. Cigarettes, which would kill other species, they treat as a relaxing pastime. They shrugged off bullet wounds or plasma burns and keep fighting as if nothing happened. Sometimes, not even realizing they were injured until someone pointed it out afterward. We never understood them, none of us. They were too strange, too unpredictable, too human. Until one day, and I still can't believe I am saying this, a human actually did something that made sense. It was an ordinary day at the refinery habitat. I was at my post, monitoring reactor temperatures and power flow. My name is Wag, just Wag. Most species can't pronounce our full names without causing offense, so we just stick to the first syllable. And that's when the human walked in. Our species, for context, are what humans might call crab humanoids, standing about as tall as an earth horse. I should know, I once met one of their own beasts, face to face. It didn't go well. That day started like any other. I was seated at my station in the alloy refinery, monitoring pressure gauges and temperature feeds, blissfully unaware that I was about to witness the most astonishing event in galactic history. A human doing something that actually made sense. The human in question was named Marcus. Without warning, he burst through the door, a datapad in one hand, and that perpetually cheerful grin plastered on his face. Despite being nearly a foot shorter than me, Marcus was the one being in the entire refinery I could never defeat in close combat. A fact that still irritates me. He was about average for a human, roughly 5'9", brown hair, a smaller patch of fuzz on his upper lip, and skin that always looked slightly roasted, as if he'd spent too long standing too close to a star. Wagafastic, incorpor, aronikutai. He barked happily, which I believe translates loosely to good morning, my friend, before slapping the datapad onto my desk. Good morning, Marcus, I replied. Turning one, I stalked toward him while keeping the other on my instruments. You seem unusually pleased. Indeed I am, he said, grinning like a lunatic. Just got the performance reports from last quarter. We overproduced, which means bonuses for everyone. He jabbed a finger at the datapad proudly. Excellent. I clicked my mandibles in delight. That means I can visit my clutch back home early this season. Nice. Marcus laughed. Got a pub crawl planned with the janitorial crew this weekend. You in? Oh, definitely. Indubitably. I clacked my claws in excitement. Then his grin changed. Subtle at first, but unmistakably mischievous. He handed me another datapad. What's this? I asked. A petition, he said, barely hiding his amusement. Been circulating through the network. Already got 6 billion signatures. I tilted my head and began to read. The document was titled, Petition for Galactic Wide Web Change, Reclassification of Species. It began innocently enough. As civilizations evolve, it becomes necessary to reclassify species based on new understandings of intellect and behavior. But then came the line that froze me. Mid-scroll. We, the undersigned, hereby petition that the creatures known as politicians be officially reclassified as a separate species. I continued reading, claws trembling from suppressed laughter. The reasoning went on. Politicians, regardless of their planet, culture, or biology, share identical behaviors. Arrogance, self-importance, an obsession with control, and an uncanny ability to say much while meaning little. They seem to operate under a universal hive mind of power addiction, wherein even the kindest individual, upon attaining office, transforms overnight into a complete and utter. It seems the petition's author had redacted the final word, though the implication was obvious. Therefore, this petition proposes that politicians be scientifically recognized as their own species, so that their behavior may be properly studied, scrutinized, and, where necessary, ridiculed. We, the people. When I finally looked up, Marcus was watching me with that same infuriatingly innocent grin. Without hesitation, I signed the document. He retrieved the datapad, and for a long, silent moment, we just stared at each other, before bursting into uncontrollable laughter. We laughed until our carapaces hurt. Then, still chuckling, we said our goodbyes, promising to meet later for drinks after shift. That moment, that absurd, beautiful moment, was the first time I ever saw a human do something that truly made sense. Well, perhaps not the first time, but it was certainly the best one.